In this video, we're going to look at the people skills you need to develop to be considered for the C-suite, because the reality is getting a job in the C-suite today is not only about having the technical skill, about having the industry experience, or about having the financial acumen. It's about having all of that plus the people skill, or the soft skill, so that you can communicate well, so that you can build relationships, and so that you can manage global diverse teams. And according to an article in HBR, this shift has been taking place since 2007. If you look at the graph in this article from HBR titled "The C-Suite Skills That Matter the Most," you can see from the green line that trends upwards. This is the increase in job advertisements for C-suite leaders that mention soft skills, or otherwise they mention people skills. And at the same time, the blue line, it trends downwards, and this represents the decrease in job advertisements that mention strengths in managing financial and material resources as a job requirement. So this means that more and more C-suite positions are asking for social skills or people skills or soft skills. And for you as an emerging leader, it is absolutely in your best interest to make sure that you have those skills. Okay, so what soft skills are we actually talking about here? What social skills are we talking about here? Well, I think the first one that we definitely need to talk about is communication skills. These are an integral part of your day-to-day life as a leader, because you communicate with people on many different levels. You need to communicate with people inside your team, with other leaders in the company, with senior leaders in the company, with people outside of your company, for example, clients or stakeholders, or perhaps even the media. And on top of communicating on many different levels, there are many different purposes for your communication as well: to share information, to get updates, to delegate to people, to empower people, to motivate people, to persuade people, or to build relationships. So this can all sound really confusing. So I want to look at how you can actually develop C-suite communication skills. I'm going to go through some ideas and strategies that I think will work for you. Plan out what you want to say in advance. I don't mean word for word, not writing down word for word exactly what you're going to say in a conversation, but plan out the bullet points of the main things that you want to talk about, the key points that you want to make. This will help you to gather all of the information that you want to communicate, and hopefully prevent you from forgetting information that is important for other people to know about. Ask for feedback from colleagues. So this is about getting feedback from your colleagues about the way that you communicate, and this can really help you understand areas in which you need to improve, or areas that you are really good at. And other leaders in the company can give you great insights that you probably would have never even thought of. Observe other leaders. So how do other leaders that you interact with communicate? What words do they use? What phrases do they use? How do they go about explaining complicated concepts? You can learn a lot by studying how other people communicate. Part of observing how other leaders communicate requires you to listen. It requires you to use active listening, which is a really important skill for all C-suite leaders to have. Active listening is where you fully listen to what that person is saying, so that you are 100% present with them in the conversation, and you make them feel that you have fully understood what they've said to you. Active communication requires you to use both verbal and non-verbal communication skills. I'm going to go through a list of skills for you to use that will help you to listen actively. Number one, you need to fully focus on what that person is saying. This means you need to remove all other distractions around you at that time. So put your phone away, shut your computer, turn off notifications, or at least don't let them distract you. Fully focus on what that person is saying. And if you still have trouble, then try to feel the sensation in your toes. When you do this during conversations, it immediately makes you look like you are fully present with that person. Use body language that indicates that you are listening to that person. So nod during the conversation. You can tilt your head, which shows that you are curious about what that person is saying. You should use good eye contact to look at them and not over their shoulder at something else in the distance. You can smile during the conversation if it is appropriate, or maintain a serious look on your face if they are explaining something serious or difficult to you. Number 3, repeat what that person has said. So you could repeat key phrases that they have used, or you could repeat full sentences that they have used. Either way, it helps that person feel and know that you have fully understood and you're really listening to what they're saying. Number 4 is to ask questions. There is nothing worse than having a conversation with somebody who asks no questions, because it indicates that you're not really interested about what that person is saying and you don't care about what they're telling you. Number 5, respond appropriately. So this means that you should share your point of view in an open and an honest way to generate a discussion. Not only will these tips help you to listen actively, but they will also help you to build a stronger relationship with that person as well. Decision making is the third people skill that you need as a leader. This is where you assess different options, where you look at the risks and rewards of each option, and where you go ahead and make a final decision. And when you think about it, C-suite leaders are really confronted with decision making all of the time, sometimes on a small level, sometimes on a much larger level. You might need to decide who to delegate to, what idea to pursue first, who to hire, or the best option to reduce costs or increase profits. Some of these decisions might have to be made quickly, often without all of the necessary information. Other times, you can take a lot more time to make the right decision. But regardless, all of these situations require you to make a decision, and this is something that you're going to have to get used to if you are aiming for the C-suite. How can you improve your decision-making ability? Well, there's really no quick fix to this. It's really something that you need to do over time, but you can start today by doing these 3 things. Make smaller decisions for yourself, for example, what to wear to the office or what route to take to work. Making these small decisions first will give you practice making those small decisions, and then you can move on to more difficult or bigger decisions later on. Make decisions for yourself, not for others. So quite often we might be tempted to make decisions that other people want, but this isn't making our own independent decision. Be okay with making the wrong decision. It's normal to make mistakes. It's human nature. People in the C-suite do it all the time. But the key is to learn from that mistake, not to repeat it. Before we move on to number 4, I want to quickly jump in here and thank everyone who has joined my channel membership. I am so happy that you're getting so much value from the videos I create on this channel, and I am really grateful for your support. So I just wanted to jump in and say a quick thank you to you. Integrity and ethics are next on the list of C-suite people skills. Integrity is about being honest and having strong moral principles. In a way, we could say that integrity helps you make better decisions because it helps you stay on the right and the honest path. It's like a guide to making the right decision. When helping you have more integrity at work, because it is so situation specific, I think it's better to look at examples of what integrity looks like in the office. So you can use this as a kind of a roadmap to learn how to have more integrity yourself. Being honest is one way to have more integrity. An example of this would be giving credit to the person or to the people in your team who created a winning proposal and signed a new client, instead of taking credit for this win yourself just because you are a leader. Admitting failures is another way to show more integrity. So let's say you make a mistake at work. Maybe you miss a deadline. Admit that you missed that deadline. Try to find a solution. Don't try to hide the fact that you made this mistake or blame it on someone else. Keeping promises is another way to show more integrity, and also to not make promises that you don't intend to keep. For example, let's say you tell someone in 6 months' time that you will give them a pay rise, but you actually have no intention to do so. This is not keeping your promise, and it is not a good way to show integrity. As a C-suite leader, it is imperative that you have relationships with other industry leaders. So this means you need to develop relationships with your peers, with potential partners, with industry influencers, or with industry experts who can provide you with information or with opportunities. These insights and opportunities can help you further your career and also the company you work for by fostering collaborations, business relationships, relationships and customer bases by getting access to the right talent for hiring decisions, or building your personal brand to increase visibility. Industry connections revolve around networking, but this means you have to network at a higher and a more strategic level than you did earlier on in your career. Instead of attending local networking events, attend industry networking events or conferences where you'll find high-ranking individuals or people who have achieved amazing things in your industry. Get involved in panel discussions in advisory committees or even community groups. Attend industry conferences, or you can even buy a table if your budget allows, buy a table at that industry conference and invite people you want to get to know more. Be present on LinkedIn by connecting with the right people and sharing knowledge that they might be interested in. The next people skill for C-suite leaders is adaptability, and this is really important because the business world never stays the same. There are always new developments, new trends, or new shifts that leaders need to adapt to. If you can recognize and react to those changes, then you are an adaptable leader. If you don't see those changes, if you choose not to see them, or if you choose not to respond to them, then you are not an adaptable leader. So in order for you to be adaptable, it really comes down to your willingness to be flexible. For example, after pursuing one strategy for a number of months, you might need to switch to a new strategy because the first one can no longer be pursued. You might have a team member who has really good relationships with your key clients, but that team member decides to leave. You have to find a temporary replacement to work with those key clients initially, and then a more permanent replacement later on. This requires you to be adaptable. Let's say there's a new technology that has been introduced that will definitely benefit your team and your company in the long term, but in order for people to use it well, you need to invest a lot of time and energy into teaching them how to use this new technology. This will require you to adapt to this new change as well. In order for you to deal with these new and unexpected changes, you have to develop a flexible and also a positive mindset. This is the only thing that's going to help you adapt and succeed. Risk management is a skill that I've not really talked about in any of my other YouTube videos, but it is a really important skill, especially in the C-suite, and it does tie in a little bit with adaptability. So according to the Harvard Business School Online, risk management is systematic process of identifying, assessing, and mitigating threats or uncertainties that can affect your organization. It involves analyzing risks, likelihood, and impact, developing strategies to minimize harm, and monitoring measures effectiveness. When we hone in on this definition of risk management, we can see that it's about dealing with uncertainty and finding the best path forward for the company. To help you understand what risk management could look like in a practical context, let's look at this example. In July 2024, there was a major global IT outage that disrupted a number of companies all around the world, particularly airport check-in services. And this resulted in the US, in about 3,000 flights being cancelled, which impacted those companies' reputation massively and their finances as well. This IT outage was clearly a threat to many businesses, and it unfortunately wasn't identified earlier. So leaders had to develop strategies to help minimize the harm that was going to create, and also to monitor the progress of the strategies that they implemented. But risk management doesn't always have to be about minimizing harm or minimizing damage. It can be used as a catalyst to drive your organization's innovation and growth. In the Harvard Business School article I mentioned earlier, they shared a story about Netflix. So in the early 2000s, Netflix was only known for its DVD mail rental service. I actually remember this service, and I used it myself when I was living in New York City. It was a really handy way to get and to receive and watch DVDs. Then in 2007, they began streaming, which revolutionized the industry, and it changed how we watch movies. It also prompted many other companies to start streaming themselves, which completely changed the industry from the video rental store system that it was. So this is a great example of how a company, Netflix, used risk management to actually drive innovation and to drive growth. By the way, I saved this HBS article into Reader. I highlighted on the web page, and that highlight was saved into my Readwise account. I absolutely love Reader and Readwise for this service. It has completely changed how I research, it's changed how I highlight, and it's changed how I take notes online as well. If you want to check out Readwise, I will put a link in the description below that will give you 60 days free access to Readwise and to Reader as well if you use that link. So as you can see, risk management can be used to help you avoid negative outcomes and to identify growth opportunities as well. Which leads us to the next people skill that C-suite leaders should have, and that is a growth mindset. If the leaders of Netflix had have been content with the DVD by mail rental service that they had going, they would have never even thought of streaming as a concept. Now, of course, it did require the advancement of technology to enable Netflix to actually stream content online. But the leaders of Netflix had to have an open mindset and a growth mindset to be able to see this opportunity and to see how this technology and Netflix as a company could align. Carol S. Dweck talks about this in her book, Mindset, where she explains the difference between having a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And she goes into tips and strategies to help you develop a growth mindset and move from having a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. If you are interested in this book, it's a fantastic book to read. It's really insightful. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will put an affiliate link in the description below that will take you to Amazon so you can take a look at this book. But basically, a fixed mindset is based on the belief that you are born with a set of traits that you can't change or you can't improve on. Whereas the growth mindset is based on the belief that your basic qualities are things that you can cultivate through your own effort. For example, if you make a mistake at work, someone with a fixed mindset would say to themselves, I'm a total failure, I can't do this. But someone with a growth mindset would say to themselves, I need to try harder next time, or I need to learn more and then try again. It's the same situation, but it's how you view and how you respond to that situation that is different. And this is something that you absolutely have control over. Number 9 is collaboration. The reality is, as a leader, you cannot work alone. In order to be successful as a leader, you need to work with and to collaborate with other people. This can include people in your team, peers in your company, or other industry leaders. First, you need to make connections with those people. We talked about this in a previous point in this video. From there, you need to make sure that the collaboration and the way you work together is effective and productive. So you need to communicate well, you need to listen, you need to act with integrity so people will actually want to work with you. You need to make decisions as a group and have a growth mindset in the event that someone else you are working with has a better or a different idea that should be pursued. Do you see how these people skills that we've talked about in this video overlap? It's not just about having one of them or having them independently. It's about having many of them and having them work together in conjunction with one another. It's true that not all leaders have good people skills. Many leaders, in fact, actually fail at people skills, which I talk about in this video up here. Watch it next or save it to your watch later list. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you got a lot of value from it, and I will see you next week in another video.